Pan Shuangshuang was a rising star in the modeling world, known for her bold presence and captivating beauty. She had the ambition to go beyond magazine covers and into the entertainment industry, but fame came with unexpected twists. When a highly publicized scandal with actor Raymond Lam exploded in 2011, her life and career changed overnight. The once promising model became the center of controversy, struggling to escape the shadows of the past. What really happened? How did she navigate the industry after the storm? Stay tuned and subscribe to our channel for the full story of Pan Shuangshuang's rise and fall. Pan Shuangshuang was born in 1987 in Hangzhou, a city known for its picturesque scenery and deep cultural history. Growing up, she was drawn to the world of beauty and entertainment, fascinated by glamorous models and actresses who graced the covers of magazines and television screens. She had a natural confidence that made her stand out, and as she entered her teenage years, she became more aware of the power of her appearance. She had striking features, a poised presence, and a sense of style that made people take notice. Even before she pursued modeling, she was used to turning heads whenever she walked into a room. As a young woman, she dreamed of stepping into the entertainment industry, and the fashion world seemed like the most promising entry point. Modeling competitions were a common way for fresh faces to break into the industry, and she saw them as her ticket to something bigger. She started participating in small competitions and promotional events, doing whatever she could to get noticed. Her striking looks and willingness to embrace bold fashion choices caught the attention of photographers and local brands. She was not afraid to push boundaries, and her confidence helped her carve out a space for herself in an increasingly competitive industry. By 2008, she had gained enough momentum to start working as a full-time model. This was a time when China's entertainment industry was rapidly expanding, with more opportunities emerging for young women who had the right combination of beauty, charm, and ambition. She posed for magazines, participated in fashion shoots, and took on commercial modeling gigs that paid well enough to keep her moving forward. The modeling world was demanding, but she adapted quickly, understanding that success required more than just looking good in front of a camera. She learned how to present herself, how to hold the right expressions, and how to adjust her image to fit the expectations of different audiences. During this period, she also became familiar with the entertainment scene in Hong Kong, which had long been a powerhouse for film, television, and fashion. The city had produced some of the biggest stars in Asia, and many young women aspired to make it there. Hong Kong's celebrity culture was built on glamour, intrigue, and larger-than-life personalities, and Pan Shuangshuang found herself drawn to its energy. She saw the potential for greater opportunities, especially since Hong Kong media had a strong appetite for models who could captivate audiences with a mix of beauty and confidence. Her breakthrough came when she began appearing in more high-profile photo shoots, where she fully embraced a sultry and provocative image. While some models preferred a more subtle, refined look, she leaned into bold styling choices that played up her curves and striking features. Her approach paid off. She started to gain attention not just for her modeling work, but for the persona she was crafting. A woman who was unapologetically confident, unafraid to showcase her appeal. She was compared to other high-profile stars who had built careers on their ability to exude a certain kind of allure. As her presence in the industry grew, so did the discussions about her. Some praised her for bringing a fresh energy to the modeling scene, while others debated whether her bold image was too much. But in the entertainment industry, being talked about was often better than being ignored, and she understood that. She embraced the attention, knowing that every magazine cover, every photo shoot, and every conversation about her was another step toward solidifying her place in the industry. She also knew that modeling could only take her so far. Many models before her had used their success as a stepping stone into acting or other entertainment fields, and she saw herself following a similar path. Despite the growing interest in her, she was still navigating a world that required constant reinvention. The modeling industry could be harsh, with new faces constantly emerging, and competition growing stronger. There was always the pressure to stay relevant, to keep audiences engaged, and to find ways to evolve. She experimented with different styles, different photo shoots, and different ways of presenting herself, understanding that in a world driven by image, adaptation was key. One of the key aspects of her rising success was her ability to market herself. She understood the power of the media and the importance of creating a recognizable brand. She carefully curated her public image, ensuring that each appearance, each photo shoot, and each interview contributed to the persona she wanted to build. While some models relied purely on their work to speak for them, she actively shaped the narrative around herself. She knew that the entertainment industry was not just about talent, but also about perception, and she worked to ensure that she remained in the public eye in a way that kept people intrigued. She also experienced the challenges that came with being a public figure. As her fame grew, so did the scrutiny. People speculated about her personal life, debated her choices, and questioned whether she was pushing the limits too far. The attention could be overwhelming, but she saw it as part of the journey. She was determined to make a name for herself, and she was willing to endure the pressures that came with it. At the time, social media was also becoming an increasingly powerful tool for celebrities and public figures. Platforms that allowed direct interaction with fans were growing, and she took advantage of them to strengthen her connection with her audience. She shared glimpses of her life, engaged with followers, and built a loyal fan base that admired her confidence and charisma. In an industry where public perception mattered immensely, she understood the value of staying connected to her supporters. By the time she had established herself as a notable name in modeling, she was already looking toward the future. She knew that modeling alone would not sustain her career in the long run, and she was eager to explore other avenues in entertainment. She had the presence, the ambition, and the willingness to take risks, all traits that were crucial for those who wanted to make it big. She was on the verge of entering a new phase of her career, one that could either elevate her further or present unexpected challenges. What she didn't know was that the next few years would bring moments of intense fame, but also controversy that would reshape how the public saw her. Pan Shuangshuang had already built a name for herself in the modeling world, but she wanted more. She wasn't content with just appearing in photo shoots and magazine spreads. She knew that in the entertainment industry, staying relevant meant constantly evolving, and for many models, the next logical step was transitioning into acting or television. Hong Kong, with its thriving entertainment industry, seemed like the perfect place to take that leap. She spent more time in the city, attending events, making connections, and getting her name into the right conversations. She was ambitious, confident, and determined to carve out a larger space for herself in the industry. By 2010, she was gaining more attention beyond the modeling world. She had a presence that was hard to ignore. Whenever she walked into a room, people noticed. She was frequently invited to industry events, fashion shows, and celebrity gatherings, rubbing shoulders with some of Hong Kong's biggest stars. The entertainment world was full of opportunities, but it was also a place where reputation played a huge role. People loved a rising star, but they also loved a good scandal, and Pan Shuangshuang was about to find herself at the center of one that would change the course of her career. In early 2011, intimate photos of her with Hong Kong actor Raymond Lam surfaced online. The images spread rapidly, setting off a media firestorm. Raymond Lam was a hugely popular star, known for his clean-cut image and successful career in television and music. The revelation of their relationship shocked fans, and the attention quickly turned to Pan Shuangshuang. People wanted to know who she was, where she came from, and how she had gotten close to one of Hong Kong's most beloved actors. The media labeled her as a seductive newcomer, and overnight, she became a controversial figure. The scandal took on a life of its own. Rumors swirled about how the photos had leaked. Some speculated that she had released them herself to gain publicity, while others believed they had been stolen from a private source. The public reaction was intense. Fans of Raymond Lam were furious, with many accusing her of trying to use him for fame. They flooded social media with harsh comments, blaming her for tarnishing his reputation. Some called her an opportunist, while others dismissed her as just another model trying to attach herself to a bigger star. The Hong Kong entertainment industry was notoriously tough on women caught up in scandals, and she quickly found herself under attack. Raymond Lam addressed the controversy by admitting that they had been in a relationship, but insisted that it was in the past. His response only fueled the situation. Instead of standing by her, his words made it seem as though he was distancing himself, leaving her to take the brunt of the criticism. The narrative quickly shifted. He was seen as the victim, while she was portrayed as the woman who had lured him into a messy situation. The media painted her as someone who had aggressively pursued the relationship, making it seem as though she had used her beauty and charm to trap him. For Pan Shuangshuang, the experience was overwhelming. The backlash was relentless, with tabloids dissecting every detail of her past and present. People dug into her history, trying to find anything that could be used to support the idea that she was calculating and manipulative. Her confidence, which had once been her greatest asset, was now turned against her. The same boldness that had helped her rise in the modeling world was now being framed as a sign that she was willing to do whatever it took to stay in the spotlight. As the controversy raged on, she attempted to defend herself. She insisted that the relationship had been real, that she had never intended for the photos to be made public, and that she was not the person the media was making her out to be. But her words did little to change public perception. In an industry that often judged women more harshly than men, she found herself in a losing battle. The scandal overshadowed everything else she had worked for, reducing her to nothing more than a headline. Despite the intense scrutiny, she continued to push forward. She still had supporters, and there were those in the industry who believed she could move past the controversy. She booked appearances, tried to maintain a presence in the media, and attempted to rebuild her career. But the damage had been done. Casting directors and producers hesitated to work with her, fearing that the negative press surrounding her name would be a risk. Brands that had once been eager to feature her in campaigns began to pull away. The industry that had once embraced her was now treating her as a liability. The impact on her personal life was just as severe. She became a target for paparazzi who followed her everywhere, hoping to catch a moment of vulnerability. She struggled with the constant invasion of her privacy, knowing that every move she made could be turned into another scandalous story. The experience forced her to reevaluate everything: who she could trust, how she wanted to move forward, and whether she even wanted to continue pursuing a career in the public eye. At the height of the scandal, there were whispers that she might leave the industry entirely. The pressure was immense, and the constant scrutiny was exhausting. But at the same time, she wasn't ready to walk away. She had worked too hard to simply disappear. She knew that if she wanted to survive in the entertainment world, she needed to find a way to reshape her image, to prove that she was more than just a woman from a scandalous set of photos. She tried to shift the focus back to her work, taking on more projects and attempting to rebrand herself. But no matter what she did, the shadow of the controversy followed her. Interviews always circled back to Raymond Lam. Reporters continued to ask the same questions, and the public's perception of her remained difficult to change. In an industry that thrived on image, she found herself struggling to regain control of her own. The scandal had opened doors in some ways. Her name was now widely recognized, but it had also made it harder for her to move beyond the label that had been placed on her. She was no longer just a model with big aspirations. She was the woman at the center of a media storm, the name attached to one of the most talked about celebrity scandals of the time. And no matter how much she tried to redefine herself, the past refused to let go. Pan Shuangshuang knew that scandals could either destroy a career or become just another chapter in a much longer story. In the years following the controversy, she tried to move forward, but it wasn't easy. The entertainment industry had a way of deciding who got second chances and who didn't. She wasn't a beloved actress with a long list of successful films to fall back on. She wasn't an established singer with devoted fans ready to defend her. She was a model whose biggest claim to fame had been a set of leaked photos and a brief, messy public relationship with a superstar. And in an industry that thrived on fresh faces and ever-changing trends, that was not the kind of legacy that kept doors open. She continued working, though the opportunities that came her way were different from before. There were still modeling gigs, but they were no longer tied to top-tier brands or major publications. She made appearances on television, but they were often brief, and the interviews always circled back to the same subject. No matter how much time passed, people still wanted to ask about Raymond Lam, about the scandal, about whether she had any regrets. She answered the questions because she had no other choice. But deep down, she wished she could escape that narrative entirely. Her social media presence remained strong, though, and in some ways, that became her saving grace. Even if mainstream media wasn't willing to give her the fresh start she wanted, she still had followers who were interested in her life, her style, and her personality. She leaned into that, sharing glimpses of her world that had nothing to do with the past. She posted about fashion, beauty, and travel, slowly shifting the focus away from what had happened years ago. She wasn't naive enough to think she could erase the past completely, but she was determined not to let it define her forever. Over time, the industry moved on. New stars emerged, new scandals took center stage, and her name was no longer making daily headlines. That might have been frustrating for someone who wanted to stay relevant, but for her, it was a relief. She had spent too much time being talked about for all the wrong reasons, and she preferred the quieter version of fame she now had. She could still make a living through modeling and social media, still attend events, still be part of the entertainment world, but without the same relentless scrutiny. There were moments when she considered stepping away from it all completely. The entertainment industry could be exhausting, and she had seen firsthand how quickly admiration could turn into judgment. But she had also worked too hard to simply disappear. She didn't need to be the biggest star or the most talked about name. She just wanted to keep moving forward on her own terms. That meant being selective about the opportunities she took, focusing on projects that actually interested her, and building a life outside of the industry that wasn't tied to fame or controversy. As the years passed, she remained a recognizable figure, though her career had taken a different shape than she had once imagined. The young model who had once been on the verge of something bigger, who had chased the spotlight with ambition and confidence, had learned how unpredictable the industry could be. She had faced one of the toughest storms a rising star could endure, and had come out on the other side. Maybe not unscathed, maybe not exactly where she had planned to be, but still standing, still moving forward, still in control of her own story. Pan Shuangshuang's journey is a testament to the highs and lows of fame. From her early ambitions to the scandal that nearly ended her career, she faced challenges that reshaped her place in the entertainment world. While she never fully reclaimed her early momentum, she found a way to move forward on her own terms. Her story is a reminder that in showbiz, success is never guaranteed. What do you think of her career? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of entertainment's most talked about figures.